guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. We're going to answer questions from last week's videos, which there are 4, right? And you've got your mic on, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I do.
Aaron's mic'd up. Before we get into those questions, though, I did want to let you know about an event that's happening here pretty quick. It's an online gardening event called, I've got all the information here on my computer. It's called The Great Grow Along. 3-day event, March 19th through the 21st, and there are like 40 plus different classes that you can take. A ticket's $29.99, and that gives you access to all the different classes, and there's a lot of different gardening topics here. Edible and urban gardening, pollinators and plants, DIY landscaping, houseplants, dig deeper, where they're talking about organic soil testing, xeriscaping, things like that. And I heard about the event, like I'm not being paid to promote it or anything, and I'm not involved in the event in any way, but it sounded like a really fun thing, especially this time of year. I know a lot of us are craving just learning and soaking in all we can before the season really kicks off, but several of the people who are speaking we know. So Luke at M.I. Gardener, Kevin Espiritu of Epic Gardening, Linda Vaughter, Kelly Kim, there's others that I'm probably forgetting, but you know, you see all those names and all those familiar, like really trustworthy sources, and you're like, this will be a good event. So anyway, we will put the link down below if you would like to learn more about that event. Again, it's March 19th through the 21st. So the first video was new barn lights, buying a rock, and moving some urns. And it was kind of a snowy afternoon. Aaron and I just wanted to come out and tick a few projects off of our project list, and that's kind of what it's about. Even when the weather is crummy, as long as you can get out and like get little things done here or there, then nothing ever seems like it piles on too heavy, kind of. Although I feel like this year, Aaron, we're gonna have like a huge pile. Like I feel like the pile's already big, and like we're just kind of wading through it with all of the destruction and all of the plans and all of the just everything. Like every day we have supplies showing up, like drip supplies for the cut flower garden.
I'm excited though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's going to be way better. Like we're
in
going
the
to
end,
fix,
for
we're going to be able to
sure,
fix
yeah.
so many of the things that plagued us last year.
Yeah. Well, and throughout the years, like flower beds that had no drip, they were getting overhead water, therefore creating hard water on everything. And by the end of the season, everything looked bad. Just, I don't know, fixing those kinds of things, getting rid of diseased things, and planning, like ordering trees and putting fresh things in that we can monitor and treat nicely from the very beginning. Anyway, yeah, so first was from Grapefruit is Winning. I think Aaron's idea of the 2 sidewalks and lining up at opposite sides of the driveway is great. That was mine. Those 2 sidewalks lining up, right? At the end of the driveway. That was my idea, right? Yours was to go into the trees.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We were just talking through a bunch of options, and I know Aaron would like to take the sidewalk out, possibly, and then kind of curve it a lot shorter than it is now and kind of go underneath our locust tree and our red point maple there. I think it's not going to fit the scale of our house. I think it's going to be too short of a distance. I like that idea, though, of creating that canopy, but we could create that a little bit further down.
Yeah.
But for the size of grass expanse we're going to have, I don't want this like little short stubby, you know, walkway. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying too. And
It's a
you
hard
know what?
one.
You might be right. You might be right.
So you might be right, too. We both might be right.
Well, it might be.
Actually, I think you could take anything any direction as long as you're happy with your space.
Yeah.
Like,
either way would be good. But if we go your route, I think we need to have a wider walkway.
You don't think like current width is wide enough, especially because
No, I
I'm
think
planning
it
on
needs to
doing
be just
like
a hair bigger than that.
flower beds on every side, all the sides.
Well, and even more so, because if you do flower beds on either side, your plants always creep into the walkway.
No.
So you need to plan for like whatever you think your walkway should be, add another foot on each side, because the plants will grow into the sidewalk.
So maybe, I mean, we kind of want to line it up with the stairs that are here. So maybe like a 6-foot walk. I think maybe it's 3 foot right now. And if I did like...
Yeah, maybe like a 3 foot now. So if we did a 5 or 6 foot.
That might be kind of nice. And that's actually wide enough to get the gator down it.
Yeah.
If we want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're still in like full-on planning mode, and we had just started talking about some of the options that we could do up here. You know, we have that brick walkway that's coming out of the west side, and it kind of curves into the driveway. And I was thinking, well, if we, especially for drone shots too, if we look at it from overhead and have the sidewalk coming out from the house, and they kind of like create, like it looks like it was planned, like, oh, so I can exit this walkway and enter this one into another garden instead of exiting into a driveway and then having to navigate down the driveway and find the next opening for a walkway, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it matters in the end, and we'll come to some sort of decision at some point. I'm so incredibly visual. I think I'm going to have to see it without the walkway here, without the arbor, because it's really hard for me not to see it as a straight walkway still. And then without the gravel driveway that's still up front. So anyway, jury's still out on that. We'll see what we come to. Emily said, love the rock, but I hope it's visible at night. I don't think it matters if people just stay on the road. Will you add a solar spotlight if the area isn't already well lit? Probably not. Like, I could just add a light and not add the rock, right? Like, the whole point is just to keep, like, you have lights on your car. You can see it.
It's true. When you're driving up with lights. Yeah, I really think if people just stay on the road.
Yeah. It's very simple. Like, you don't drive through people's yards, right? So just don't drive through the yard. It really is
like people cutting a corner through someone's yard.
And really, it's just delivery trucks.
Yeah. It's
no neighbors. It's no, like, we don't have through traffic. So it's not the fault of our neighbors. It's delivery trucks who they should be paying attention. Leon said, did you do a video of taking out Hebe and a bit of fencing behind her, or have I missed it? We did not do a video. In fact, Aaron and I were kind of laughing about this last night because I had to tell Aaron, you've got to stop. You've got to be slower, because I walked out into the garden one day and they were gone. Like, where did the fountain and the fence section go? Like, Aaron is so, like, you move, you rock through projects, which is good. And I kind of, like, have to rein everything in a bit, which is also, like, it can be good and bad.
It's also good because sometimes when you go slower, you make some of the right decisions.
And think about things
a little bit longer, and I get that.
Like, for me in that case, I probably would have decided where I would like to move those things, so we'd only have to move it once. And now those pieces are sitting back behind the barn, and I will use them in other places of the landscape. In fact, I think I know where the fence section is going to go, but yeah, we'll have to load it back up and move it back out.
But it's not that hard to move.
It's really not,
especially now that we've got tractors and stuff.
And I know that we're kind of laying waste to this whole thing and it needed to happen, but I was just kind of shocked when I walked out one day and it was gone. And then mostly I told him we've got to slow down and take video. Like, I think I pestered him for a long time about getting cameras out when the tool shed was going. You weren't going to record that.
Yeah.
Like, we need to record that, because I think that, one, for our own memory, it'll be kind of fun to be able to see that later on down the road, but, like, to be able to show the evolution of an entire area. Sorry, I should just turn this off. To be able to see the evolution of an entire area of the garden, you got to not leave things out.
Right.
So, anyway.
You are right. You're right.
I know. Carrie said, why do I feel like I need to know where your kids are when they're not with you? You are not alone. We get a lot of people who ask that. And, like, just know that our kids are never far from us. Never very far, but we've just kind of decided not to. Like, sometimes we share where they're at and sometimes we don't, just for their privacy, and that's just kind of a line we've drawn a little bit.
It's not like bothersome.
Oh, no.
To
I understand
wonder.
people being like, both of you are outside. Are your kids just, like, willy-nilly inside right now, like fending for themselves? No, they're always cared for. They're always close, but we just don't really want to talk about it all the time. Jan said, will you be reusing the gravel somewhere else on your property? Yes. So all the gravel on the front driveway is going to be picked up, scooped up, and used on the new lane, which it's looking a little clear. Well, it's snow floor except for the roadways. And the new driveway is clear, but it's pretty darn muddy. So they won't be in here with machines for a while yet. We were cooking with grease for a while there. And then all of a sudden, like, we get wet and snow, and it puts everybody behind a little bit. At least we got a little bit done.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. Shelby said you could just seed grass and forego a pathway for now and wait to see what the flow of the space calls for once you're starting to use it, which is so my speed. That's what I would do. Sod is easier to move than a pathway. I'm excited for the orchard too. Me too. Oh, got all of our trees now. Are you going to seed grass underneath or do mulch? Okay, so first off, the walkway with the grass. I love that idea so much. But we are putting in a new sprinkler system up there, so we really have to have those things ironed out, like where the flower beds are, and then where the pathway is, where the grass is, so that everything can hit the appropriate areas without going over our walkway.
Water is so hard that if we had water that sprayed onto the pathway, it would just turn, like, we're probably going to put in a brick pathway, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And it would just turn white.
And you already see that white residue. It soaks up through the bricks and it shows up on top.
Yeah, I'm going to fix that though. You're talking about the west side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to fix that next year.
Are you?
Yep.
Well, hopefully it hasn't stained them enough. I don't know. I mean,
it
it's
won't
part
get
of
worse.
the Eastern Oregon patina. It's part of what we have to deal with. Now, in the orchard, I would love to have more of a natural look in the orchard. I remember at my parents' house, they've taken their orchard out because they had some different ideas of what they wanted to do with that space that would actually make more sense for them. But they seeded like dryland grass, and then I remember them tossing tons of bulbs out there, just like they were out there with an iron bar. They had just took leftovers from the garden center, and my dad was chipping up big pieces of ground, like iced up soil, and my mom just scattered the bulbs underneath, and they just laid that slab back over the top of the bulbs, and they came up. They seeded blue flax in there one year. I would love that. Just kind of like a meadowish look. I don't really want it to be, because we'll have the cut flower garden right in front, and the whole layout of the orchard and the shed that we're putting there will look kind of formal, but having that be soft underneath would be a nice juxtaposition, I think. I think it'd be, we'll see though what happens. We're trying to work out watering, like how we would water that, because we'd have to do something from overhead, and we're gonna have a big black fence back there, and we don't want hard water to show up on that or the shed and all that business. Can we flood irrigate it?
If we probably not.
You don't think so?
If we put trees in there and grass, we could just have sprinklers that like shoot up, or there's like pop-up sprinklers that can go up like 2 feet, I think.
Oh, well, that would be fine.
They have to go down in the ground, maybe 2 feet more than what they actually.
We don't want anything higher than 2 feet anyway. I mean, can you imagine trudging through that?
But if you did put in a sprinkler system in there, you wouldn't have to run individual drip to the trees. I think if you just ran enough water for the whole area and saturated the whole area.
You know, one thing I didn't really think about too, I don't want to do anything too thick, because with the fruit drop, what a mess to clean that up. I mean, one, it would be nice because it would be hidden.
I don't think you do clean it up. It just is a mess. If the fruit drops, I think it's just a mess.
So and you wanted a bigger orchard. He wanted a bigger orchard, everybody.
Well, I think
I reined you into 10 trees. That's a lot.
I think 10 might be not enough. For like, let's say there's something really interesting that comes on the market in 2 years.
Well, we can put it somewhere else.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We got plenty of space.
And
just
you know what?
Go in the
it's
orchard.
likely out of 10, maybe one doesn't take.
Yeah.
Or one, excuse me, gets damaged in a winter or something like that, and we have to take it out.
Yeah.
There'll be opportunity.
Sure.
Anne said, could you do a video on how to prune or shape an arborvitae trees? Were you going to do that?
Yeah, we were.
Aaron was planning on it.
And then I ended up just kind of one of those things. I went outside and just did it. Probably should have filmed it, but it really is just a matter of trying to find the leader, like whatever you think is the best leader. And sometimes you just have to pick one. Sometimes there's two, and one of them is like neither one is in the center, and you just got to pick one.
And it looks painful for a little bit.
It does look painful for a while.
It doesn't look. Ouch! Why do I keep doing this?
I don't know.
It doesn't look bad though. Like what you've done out there, everything looks great.
I was pretty ginger about what I cut. I didn't go super harsh. And then,
do you think that because you started with them so young, that being able to do a little bit at a time?
Yeah. I think if you go out and just keep doing a little bit every year, I think if you've let it go and they're already 10 feet tall, I think it's a lost cause.
Next video was picking out houseplants for our mantles. So I went down to the garden center. Of course, I timed it so awful. I ended up finding some really pretty houseplants, but they got in a brand new load, like just a few days after I was there, and there are some gorgeous things. So I may have to go back down and pick up a plant or two. But I just picked up the plants, kind of showed you around in the plant room, and then we brought the plants home, cleaned them up, got them ready for our mantle decorating. So Debbie said, completely off topic, but since I see all your snow, should I be cleaning off my hydrangeas or any other plants buried under a foot plus of heavy snow? Last week, we actually knocked all of the snow off of our boxwood hedges and topiaries because it had started to melt and I got really heavy and it was splaying stuff out. In that case, absolutely just go brush it off if you can, because it'll help the shape of your plants tremendously. For hydrangeas, it depends on the hydrangea. If you're extra worried about any of your plants, it certainly wouldn't hurt to brush some snow off the top. Keep in mind that snow is insulation too. So if you have snow around your plant, it could be insulating the crown, and your plant might be better off, especially if you get really cold. Hydrangea paniculatas, like the limelights I have right outside this window here, they bloom on new wood, so I could break those things down off at the ground and they would still grow and produce blooms that year. But if you have things like hydrangea macrophyllus or serratas that bloom on old wood, it would be a good idea to go knock the snow off of them, because if those branches have buds that are already bearing the blooms for next season, you just can't see them yet, then you'll forfeit those blooms. So it's just kind of knowing your plant, knowing if they bloom on old or new wood, and then treating them appropriately. Java Mate said, love your videos. I'm super visual visual, so I thought I'd suggest some pull-down backdrops in various colors would make what's on the tabletop and keep my eye there instead of trying to discern everything around the room. Erin bought something. It's like a cloth that looks like a brick wall.
I just bought one. It was like a wood wall.
A wood wall. So you didn't buy the brick wall. Or is it two-sided?
I don't think it's two-sided. I think it's white on the other side.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it looked really poor.
Maybe white was the wrong choice.
Well, it wasn't white. It was wood.
But it was like white distressed wood, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't remember what it was.
I don't either. It's in a pile on the floor right now.
I put it up, and I was like, "Oh, this is dumb." I think what we're gonna do is just end up moving we're gonna rearrange in there.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna pull grow lights down the wall, and then paint, bring in some furniture. We just haven't done it yet. I've got the perfect candidates furniture. I've got a couple other chairs in this front parlor room that the cats have just like decimated. They're so clawed up. Makes me so mad, cats and leather furniture. I know there's some kind of like repellent, but anyway, those are perfect for the studio. They can be out there. It doesn't matter if they get dirty, and I don't think you'll be able to see that they're scratched up from a great distance. Kim said, love these groupings. You have such an eye for these things. Thank you. Just curious, doesn't your house get overrun with plants? You would think so, but I don't treat my house plants very nice. I keep them around for as long as it makes sense. Like if something is extra fussy or extra picky, I don't like go out of my way to treat it extra nice because I just don't have time for plants like that. I have one fern that has been living for a couple of seasons now, which is surprising, and it gets the same treatment as my philodendrons. I mean, it's living on less, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it would be easy to overrun your house, but I don't like that look. I don't like the look of rooms just jammed full of plants. In fact, the mantle, when I got it done, I'm like, first off, it was more like boho looking, and then there were a ton of plants, which is not my vibe usually, and I was just kind of like, well, like tons of plants outside.
Were you just not vibing with it?
I wasn't vibing with it at all, no.
You got to be vibing.
You know what? I do give, rest of the question says, just wondered if you get rid of older plants or what? How do you make room for so many? I do get rid of a lot of them. I give them to family and friends. I take pictures. I send them to like my sisters-in-law and my mother-in-law. And I just say like, do you want these? If you don't, usually I can find a home for them. And so it doesn't happen that often, but every once in a while, like when I did my big plant room migration, with all the grow lights from our inside plant room out into the studio, I found homes for a lot of the plants that were in there. So it's a good way. Let somebody else enjoy them. Amy's Gardenstead said, the spider plant with the unique stone is such a great combination. What is in leaf shine? What is in leaf shine? I think I read it once. Let me look that up. It's a leaf shine and moisture guard, the one I use from Bonide anyway. Okay, so this is interesting. I'm on Bonide's website. It says that the active ingredient is pinene or pinene. It's 1.5%, which I googled what is pinene, and it's an aromatic compound commonly found in cannabis that smells a lot like, you guessed it, a forest of pine trees. And then the rest, 98.5%, is inert ingredients, which is water. So some derivative of cannabis and water. Interesting. Jennifer said, how do your cats not eat your houseplants? Do you only buy non-toxic pet plants? The only plant that my cats have ever messed with is Russell. Used to mess with the donkey's tail sedum that I had in my head planter inside of our living room, which it's now in the studio. Same plant, same planter. It's up on a very high shelf, but he liked to play with them because they would fall off. So I'd find a bunch of like the little leaves from the donkey's tail sedum all over the ground. He never tried to eat it, but he would play with them, and it just, oh, you guys know, like those of you who have grown that plant, it's super fragile, and to get it to a point where it's super full and then have that happen, oh, Russell was on my list there for a little while. Laura said, what causes the tips to burn? I have lots of problems with that in my houseplants. Am I doing something to cause this? So tip burn in houseplants, to my understanding, it can be a couple of different things that can be going on. You might have overly dry air. There might not be enough humidity in the air, so moisture can be a problem. Also, it can be a buildup of like chlorine and stuff from your water, minerals in your water where the plant draws it up and tries to, you know, it feeds the whole leaf of the plant, and then it kind of accumulates at the edges where it can't go any further, and then it can cause some tip burn that way. So a lot of times you want to use, like down at the garden center, we had a reverse osmosis system put in because there's softened water, right? We have that here. too. So we had that put in, and then you could also let chlorinated water sit out overnight and let some of that chlorine dissipate. There may be other reasons that I am unfamiliar with, but I know by keeping moisture levels in check and then using the proper water has really helped me out with chip burn on my plants. The next video was arranging the plants on our mantle for spring, which that video was kind of a hot mess, I'm not gonna lie. So I ended up kind of doing it 2.5 times. The first time I did it, I was going for something a little different and I ended up not liking it. I used baskets and then all the houseplants in the same spot. I was like, oh. And then I bought some candles earlier on that, I don't know, the color of green wasn't really jiving with the color of green I had on the wall. It just wasn't coming together exactly. And so I lived with it that night, and the next morning I thought, I have got to change this. And Erin, you were like, just let's post the video and move on. Like, don't waste your time. It's fine. And there's an occasional time where I'm like, no, I can't move past this. Like, I have to fix it. And you guys have to know, like, we post a lot of projects that I would never post without Aaron's urging. And he's always like, you know, just post, like, let's just keep on working, keep on posting, keep on doing projects, and you can do it better next time. Learn from it, do it better next time, like whatever better means to you. And so that's been really helpful to me throughout the years because, I don't know, I think a lot of times those details just really in the end, they don't matter that much. But this one did to me. I'm like, I've got to get pots in here that I like. So I went out to the barn and found some containers from other projects and a few new ones that I had sitting there for spring displays, and worked those in. I liked it a lot better. I changed out the hand towels to the ones with the bunnies because I am prepping for Easter. And I know there were a number of comments that said, try it without the towels. And I did pull a towel out and it looked too flat. There wasn't enough softness in the display, so I left them. Anyway, it was just like a complete
disaster?
No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. That's rude. It wasn't a disaster. It was just a process.
Okay. It was a disastrous process.
It was somewhat. It worked out. It worked out with everything else going on in those couple of days that we had going on. Anyway, Rachel said, love the second look. I agree it lends itself more to spring. Do you remember where you got those set of Jane Austen books? My mom and sister, so one of them got me the Austen books, one of them got me the Dickens books, and they got them from a store in or around Yakima, Washington. I'm not sure what store that is, but they are fabric covered, and they're really neat. Ellen said, love the bunny towels. Thank you. I like the bunny towels too. Can you tell me who the maker is or where to get them? I got those at, did I get them at Marshall's or TJ Maxx? And I got them last year. So they may not be out there anymore. I'm not sure. Vanessa said, those green candles though, I love them. Where are they from? Those are from Joann's. And they had them in their new spring stuff. I got them a few weeks ago. And just thought I'll be able to utilize these either somewhere outside or inside, and I had a coupon burning a hole in my pocket. So anyway, but the color in those is more of like a warm kind of pea green, and then our walls are very cool, like a green gray, and so it just was kind of like, oh, it wasn't working with my eye for this particular display. Susan said, a little off topic, but what is the subject in the lovely artwork? I adore the frame in the space. So that is a depiction of Prometheus, which is the Titan god of fire. So it's not actually the most lovely depiction. If you get up close, I love it. I think it's a really neat, I loved Greek and Roman mythology. I took actually a series of 3 classes in college and loved it. But anyway, where was I going with that? But I just figured it was appropriate that he was the god of fire. So that's where he is, up above the fireplace. And I actually got that as a individual etching, and then I bought the frame separate and had them framed together, custom framed. And I think it's really beautiful. Okay, Sephora said, when you turn on the chimney, does the plant tolerate the heat? Well, the only reason why I did the houseplants, and I think I may have mentioned this in one of the videos, was that I can get away with doing houseplants on there right now because we're not lighting very many fires right now. The fireplace door is incredibly loud to open and close, and right now we're trying to be a little bit on the quiet side because of Samantha Grace, and you know, she's always sleeping and we don't want to like cause a huge amount of noise. We do a lot more noise around her than we did with Benjamin. Like, I'll vacuum around her. We like with Benjamin, we let him play, like, but we don't, like, he doesn't throw things around or shout or anything like that. It's like normal household noise. But that fireplace is not normal noise. It's pretty loud. Anyway, so the plants are fine. Kat Lockhart said, what color is the paint on your ceiling? I have no idea. The ceilings are painted the color that they were when we moved in. That's something we do want to paint over. I think we want to go a little bit more white. Right now they're kind of like a fleshy pink color.
Yeah, I don't like them at all.
I don't think they're horrible, but I think white would brighten it up a bit. Star Song said, do you guys read any fantasy books? I do not. I've never been a huge fantasy person. Do you? My brother and sister, big time. Yeah. Big time into fantasy.
No, I'm into fantasy movies, but not. I mean, I in the past I have gotten into some fantasy books, but it's not something that I kept up with.
Kevin said, would you ever share a piano piece with us? Well, as soon as I am gifted a baby grand piano, Erin, then I will share a piano piece with you.
You know, our 15-year anniversary is coming up.
Hey.
The big 1-5.
Yeah. That is the anniversary for pianos.
Is that the piano anniversary?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I don't know that we can fit that into our budget this year. It's pretty maxed out. And the last video was snow day antiquing with my mom. So snowy outside, just did a houseplant video, decided it was kind of a good time to run back over to Boise, do a little bit of antiquing. It's kind of a fun time of year that we can sneak those trips in here and there around other work things, because it's really the only time of year I focus any attention at all in the house, if at all. Like, I focus so much attention outside that the inside kind of like, it just happens a lot slower.
But you care a lot about the inside.
I do. Well, I know what I want it to look like. I just need to, like...
You don't know how to get it there, then.
No, I do know how to get it there. But it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of visiting antique stores and, like, finding the one-off fabric store that has the beautiful fabrics. Like, not just your, normal...
So that's what I mean. You don't know how to get it there. Like, you don't know what sells the thing that you want. That's what I mean.
Yeah. I need a list of places. Well...
Like, it's for you, it's the fact-finding mission of, like, who sells what I'm after.
But sometimes, like antiques, it's hit and miss. You never know, like, what you're going to find, and you kind of want pieces, like, to speak to you or to see them and be like, I need that in my house. I love that.
In your mind, it would be really easy for me because I could just go to IKEA and buy every single thing that I need.
And that's what you would do, huh?
No.
Okay. SF said, are you only doing videos once or twice a week now? So right now we are trying to do about every other day. Sometimes we sneak an extra one in there between the highlights channel and our main channel. And we are starting to rev up. Samantha Grace is 5 weeks old today. And so we just took it slower. I think we started filming like the week after she was born, right? I think we filmed a recap. I think that was maybe the first...
Like an update?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we filmed one. No. It was that Monday, 1 week after she was born. So we didn't really take a whole lot of time off, but we've been just taking it a lot slower during the days, which honestly in the wintertime, it can be hard. We, in the past do a lot of like crafty things or creative projects or fairy gardens or things like that. And sometimes you're feeling those kind of projects and sometimes not. And we've kind of like morphed out of that just a little bit, just because my interest hasn't, it evolves too.
You make videos about what you're interested in. And so I'm sure at some point you'll go back into those types of things if the inspiration strikes.
Case in point, I mean, one of our bigger videos, like 2 of them, was a cinder block planter video with bright colors, bright like patterns, and then the pumpkin snowman thing. Those were 2 really big videos in our past, and neither of them are necessarily like my style, but I was having fun doing the project. And I'm really kind of looking forward to this year. We'll probably do some more of those types of things, just because they're fun to do. We don't necessarily keep them here. Like the cinder blocks went over to the garden center, and it's just fun to just try new things. Sometimes you end up really liking them.
Yeah.
Okay, Katie said, what a perfect day. Are you really planning on antiquing once a month, or are you being a tease? I would love if that actually became a thing, because it would actually force me to like plan a day, especially in the spring. It's really hard to set aside time to do things like that where you feel like you're kind of neglecting other things. But I think that would be probably a healthy thing to do, honestly.
Yeah.
Like just to make a habit of getting away, even if we don't do a ton of shopping, just going and having lunch and just taking a slow day. Also, inquiring minds want to know, how much was the sticker shock you were referencing? Well, okay. So there was one piece in particular there. It was like a background. It was kind of like almost 2 doors, like 2 small French doors put together. So it was about this wide. and it had I think it had mirrors in it, and then like a wood swag thing on the top, and it was all kind of like shabbied, like the paint, and like there's a little bit of gold on it, and then on the bottom it had like two little wicker kind of worked in wicker or wood, I don't know. It looked like you put umbrellas. It was like kind of like an umbrella stand. $9,000. It was like $89.95 or something like that. I was thinking, like, it might be this really special antique piece. It could be, but I wouldn't be able to tell that. And if I can't tell, like, oh my word, $9,000.
That's some serious sticker shock.
Yeah, and like the pots. I remember one of the pots. I have a small iron pot I bought at the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival from Christensen's Nursery. It was maybe like between $40 and $60 if I can remember right. Maybe it was $48 or $49. This little iron pot, and there it was close to $200, and I was just like, oh. Yeah. I'm around those kinds of things all the time too, so I can't imagine, like, when you're used to unpacking pottery and concrete and you're used to pricing them like down at the garden center, and they're nice pieces. When you get sticker shock from, like, when you're already used to kind of higher priced things,
sure,
that's kind of insane. Beautiful stuff though. Like, if I could have the whole shop, yeah, sure, I would take it. But yeah. Anyway, definitely worth a visit though, because there were some smaller items and things in there that are beautiful, like the linens, so gorgeous. I think one of the hand towels was like $25 or $30, just to give you an idea. Jessie said, I love the antiquing videos. Next time, can you show us where you put the things that you purchased? I actually told Aaron I should hang these pictures in this video, and then it never happened. So they're sitting in a pile in the corner.
It seems like it takes you like a day to figure out where you want to put things.
I kind of know where all of them need to go. I just need to get my stuff out and do it.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah. Alyssa said, how close do you live to Boise? 67 miles. That's what the mile sign says. We are on the border of Oregon and Idaho in Oregon, and so it's just a quick trip down the road for us. Lisa said, what camera are you using for this? Your phone? No, I should have used my phone. That would have been better than the camera I was using, which was a Canon
G7X Mark II. We've had problems with the G7X Mark III, which is out. It autofocuses really poorly. The Mark III does. So we probably have right now like 4 or 5 of the G7X Mark IIs. And it's a camera that is plagued with issues, but the problem is that a lot of cameras don't have stabilization. And so, like, if you watch other people's vlogs, sometimes it's so shaky. And the G7X Mark II, the quality isn't amazing, but I would rather have a little bit less quality and have it more stable.
The problem with this one is I have been we have them all numbered so that we can keep track of any issues that we've noticed. But I favored this one for so long because it's like held out the longest, but it is dirty under the lens. So like when you use your cameras to garden and there's wind and me that drops them a lot, it's really easy to get stuff under the lens, and I can't get to that. We have to send those in to get clean.
Well, that's a known issue too with that camera is dust
really?
Under the lens. Yeah, if only, I don't know. I'm looking constantly for other cameras that would be a good replacement.
Our iPhones work pretty darn good.
Yeah, but not for pointing at yourself.
No, that's true.
There's no monitor to see yourself to firm up the shot. So that's the problem, is that with every other camera, there's always one vice where it's like, oh, this would be a great camera,
but
except
it overheats.
Yeah, but it overheats, or this would be a great camera, but you
Yeah.
can't see yourself, or
Well, and the stabilization in this one is just shot finally. I think from being dropped as many times as it gets dropped, or I'll use my tripod, which is really nice, and I can wrap the legs around tree trunks and stuff like that, so I can get it in really weird positions. But occasionally I don't get it quite. I think it's attached well, and it's not, and it falls down. And so I noticed the shot, it looked like you were on a ship in part of it. And I told Aaron, I started watching it back, and I actually edited out a ton of the footage. A ton that we were going to leave in of us shopping and showing you things, which totally bummed me out, but it made me so sick to watch it that I tried to edit out as much of that as I could.
They have monitors for GoPros now, little flip-up screens. Well, and even I think, either way.
But that's more of a wide.
Yeah, GoPros just have a certain look to them. It has a GoPro look that I don't think is very suited for vlogging. I don't know.
We'll just
We'll
I
just
don't know.
keep buying the G7X over and over
Yeah.
and over. We've probably bought that camera like close to 15 times.
Very serious.
Yeah.
Not all because of me breaking out.
But like 90% because of you.
Maybe 75%.
No.
Amy said, do you ever consider getting rid of all your carpeting in your house and having only wood or laminate flooring? I'm sure that carpet and mud dirt from gardening is not your best friend. Isn't that the truth? And I am not the type, we don't take our shoes off to come inside unless it's like super muddy or wet. I don't love that. Like, I like to be able to keep my shoes on. So like, I think we would love to put wood in the whole house. We do have carpet in the great room, which was here when we moved in, and it's kind of nice to have it in there. It does make it feel more cozy, but I think in the end I would like to have wood throughout and have big rugs. I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
But
I'm down.
So one day. Simple Urban Living said, do you ever go to Goodwill or any thrift stores? We do sometimes on occasion if they are kind of in our pathway. I used to go a lot more. I don't know why. I don't know.
I think maybe it's when you go to Goodwill, the finds are a lot fewer and far between. Like the really good things that you like.
It could be that, and then I usually find the stuff at Goodwill or thrift stores I have to upcycle. So there's some work involved in like either painting it or, you know, replacing handles or something like that. And when I go to antique shops and things like that, usually it's you buy it and it's ready to roll. You know, a little furniture polish or something, but that's pretty easy. Lori said, my daughter texted me to say she was watching Laura and her mom antiquing this morning. I was watching at the same time. We've decided to make our list of places and plan a trip. Can't wait. Loved watching you and your mom together. That's awesome. I love it. We always have such a good time when we go do stuff like that. We do need to make a trip. Like, I think it'd be fun to make it like a destination trip and like really research some amazing stores. And yeah, because I feel like we were talking about it when we were driving over to Boise during like on our drive over this time. We have our go-tos, like the first three that I showed you on that list, which are the Antique World Mall and Enchanting Objects, LA Junk. But you know, you can only go so many times in a year because a store only changes things over so many times in a year. And like with the Antique World Mall, it's more likely to change quicker because you've got so many people doing individual booths, so they're bringing in new stuff more often. But even then, like going once a month, I think we would have to search out some new places because I think if we went once a month, it would be a lot of repetition. So I don't know. And that's it, you guys, for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. And we do have several fun videos planned for this week. So we might even have more than one every other day. We'll see. The goal is to get back to 6-day-a-week posting on our main channel. So we have been skipping Sundays for quite some time now, which has eased our schedule so much. We kind of went into that when I was getting like heavier pregnant, like later stages of pregnancy. It was just getting too much for me. And then we kind of like loved that schedule because it eased our weekends up a bit, our work load up a bit.
I wouldn't be surprised when we get into May, though, that we'll do 7 days a week again.
We may for a short time, like when just stuff is rolling and we've got lots of going on. We may have to, otherwise we'd have to post more than one video in a day. But when there isn't a video on our main channel, definitely, I mean, well, you're watching this on Garden Answer Highlights right now. So sometimes we'll have like a mail time or a recap or whatever go up on highlights, or like the tool shed removal, something random go up. So anyway, we shoot for between 5 and 7 videos per week between both channels right now. Probably more later. So anyway, hope you guys all have a really great week, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.